Okay, welcome back to another video. The goal in this one here is to build all the Fife rails. I know I've got a couple people that follow this channel that aren't totally into ships, but the Fife rails are just some rails where the belaying pins go around the masts and stuff, so that all the rigging can kind of secure to them. So there's going to be sets of rails for each of the three masts. So the first thing we need to do is we're going to build the posts for them. So I've got two of the posts done already. So you can see where you kind of notch them at the beginning. It's just, kind of decorative and would have been the way they would have been made back then. Think of like, wooden stair banisters or something like that. So like I said, I've got two of them made. I need a total of 10, most of which are this size. 8 of them are going to be these 15 millimeter high ones. And then there's two that I need that are going to be taller. So basically what I'm doing is taking the piece of wood, and to make that notch in there, let's see if we can get the camera to focus. Um, but I'm using the square here to measure uh, and I'm putting lines in 2 millimeters from the end, 3, and then 4 millimeters, right? And that is basically where the notch is, and I'm doing that all the way around, kind of on all four sides of this here. So then basically what I'm doing is I'll take then my X-Acto knife, and I kind of push it into the middle to make a little bit of a groove there. And unfortunately with the camera here, I can't really get in and see it well enough. I have to get pretty close because of the lights and everything to see that. So let me go. I'm going to cut in a little bit of a groove along the center of those three lines, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how what I'm doing to file this all down. Okay, I don't know if you can see it there, but I just, like I said, pressed the knife blade in to give a little bit of a groove along that middle line in there. And that's really just to give a groove for this file. As you can see, it's a three-sided file kind of that I'm using, and then I can get there and set it on that groove. And I just try to get as perpendicular to it as possible. And I mean, that groove that I cut in there is basically after just one little pass is gone. I want to stay in there. Usually make about 3 passes, then flip it over, get it in there on the other side. I think I got that one quite right. Have to look before I go any further on it. But yeah, I just do that, and I keep slowly rotating it. And what I'm watching for is each time I go, it gets a little bit deeper and it starts to widen out. So I'm watching it, the groove that I'm filing in there, get closer and closer to the two other lines. Kind of seeing there. And then once I get pretty close, then I'll come in with a much smaller file. You can see this one's 4-sided, but I'll kind of stick it in at an angle like this, and then be able to go back, and I can do some finer adjustments to that. So I'm not cutting them to length until I get it done, but this is a kind of a close-up of the final result in there. I think this one turned out a little bit better. So like I said, I got a bunch of these to do. Let me go, I'll file it down some more, and then we'll just come back. And again, I'll show you here before I cut it off and kind of some of the final little tweaks I'm making to it. All right, well, as you can see, I finished filing that down. I think it looks pretty good. And then next thing I kind of do, and I've already checked this one, and this upper part is right on 2 millimeters, or at least close enough for the work I'm doing. If it was a little thicker than 2 millimeters, I've reached a point where I don't want to file this anymore. Then I'd take it over to my disc sander and just kind of smooth it, or bring it down to 2 millimeter. But this is like I said, really close there to 2 millimeters, close enough. And then, so the last thing, just kind of do is I put a little piece of real, it's like 400 grit sandpaper, and just kind of put this down at a 45-degree angle, make a couple passes, rotate it to the next one again, and it's just putting like a little bevel edge across the top there. You can see it in. I'll go and I may have some of them aren't quite even, so I'll go and make another pass or so, kind of even them out, and then just go and cut it to length. So let me go. That's what I'm going to do. I'll finish this one up, cut this one out, and like I said, I've got about 7 more to make. So we'll come back once I have them all made, and we'll talk about the next step. All right, well, I got all of the posts uh, done. You can see I've got 4 shorter ones here, and then 4 more up here, and then those are the 2 tall ones. And I cut the actual rails and got them all prepped here. This is for the Fife rail that's going to go around the foremast. It's going to be kind of in a U shape, so it's got 4 posts. These here will connect in between the 2, and then this forms kind of the bottom of the U. And you can see I cut some notches out for it to go in. So kind of interesting, and I started looking at it at the both the pictures and the one-to-one plans that come with it, where you're looking straight down onto the deck, and they're different. Uh, Best way to describe it here, if I can move the ship in, I don't know if you can see it here. Okay, so on the pictures, whoever the modeler was who built the pictures for the manual, he put the posts right up against the frames for these hatches here, and then the cross part goes there. He also just glued. He didn't notch that crossbar the way I did. He just kind of glued it onto the front of those, and kind of did the same thing for all of the other rails that were going down. But the plans have it. First of all, they have that crossbar notched and moved in, actually even more than what I did in there. And the posts don't actually sit next to here. They're kind of splitting the difference between the edge of this round thing. I don't know what it's called, and here, so things get in a little bit closer to the actual mast. So I'm going to follow the one-to-one plans and kind of do it that way. I was able to, hold the piece up right up to it on the plans and figure out exactly where I needed to notch those. So that's kind of going to be the plan here. We'll see how it goes. I will try to film this, but these are kind of fiddly little pieces. I'm probably going to have my hands in the way a lot. So you'll know whether I was successful or not by what follows here. If I'm able to put a decent clip together once I go to edit it, where you can actually see me doing some things, then I'll leave it in there. If not, then you might have to, I'll just jump to showing you the completed piece. All right, a little bit fiddly there getting it all done, but you can see it's all put together. This is actually probably the most complicated one of them all. Uh, the For the main mast, it's just these two tall ones, and then there's going to be two rails, kind of like two shelves that go across it. And then for the mizzen mast, it's two separate ones, so it's just basically like the short sections here. It doesn't have the U on it, so it just uses the remaining four there. So this one was the hard one to get done, but yeah, kind of went together. There's still a few more things I'm going to do. I didn't show earlier. You can see it here. Each of the four posts have a hole drilled in it. I'm going to be putting pins up in it. Um, then I'll get it kind of positioned exactly how I want it. Push those pins into the deck to leave a kind of a mark. I'll drill out those holes, and then so it's not going to be just glue holding it in there. I'll have it actually pinned to the deck. And so anxious to see here. We're going to go and put the belaying pins in. Hopefully I don't break it as I'm pushing them in. Um, they're pretty tight, but they do fit into the holes the size holes they had us drill. So it doesn't want to go in all the way. I might need to sand the tops of them down a little bit. Well, let me go and do that, and then we'll come back and we'll take a look at it with all of the pins in. Well, here we go. Got all of the pins in. Of course, while I was noticing that, I realized I only had holes drilled on two of those. As I was moving the rails around, or the posts around earlier, I got them mixed up and put two that I hadn't drilled the holes on yet. But now I got holes in all four of these. So okay, so the Fife rail for the foremast is done. I'm going to set it aside, get the other two built. We'll get the pins inserted in them, and then one final step is the tops of each of the posts gets painted blue. So I'll get that paint on them, do that, varnish them, and then we'll mount them to the deck. So let me go ahead and I'm going to get the other two built. I'm going to do that off camera. I'll come back and show you all of them once they're done. All right, well, I got all of the Fife rails done. They've been put together, varnished, painted, as you can see. That's for the foremast. This one here for the main mast. And then these two smaller ones for the mizzen mast. I've already positioned them, drilled the holes and everything. So the only thing really left is to glue them on. Let me try to reposition the camera so maybe you can see what I'm doing. And then, yeah, but we'll get these things all on and talk about the next steps. All right, I'm getting some glue here on the bottom, the large assembly that goes up around the foremast. Need to see what I'm doing, so this is kind of off camera. Sorry about that. Hold this in, let the glue firm up a little bit. While I'm here, we're going to put the one for the main mast in, but I'm actually not going to glue the two for the mizzen mast. There's a couple steps we got to do the ship's wheel, and there's a couple other doors that are going to go in there, and they're just going to be in the way. So I'll wait. Actually, I'll probably just do the wheel or something. Maybe as the next step, we'll get the wheel, those doors in, and then we can glue uh, yeah, the Fife rails for the mizzen mast in, and then after that we'll start working on some of the interior rails around the quarter deck and the poop deck. All right, that's pretty good. All right, that one's looking pretty good. I'll set the ones for the mizzen mast in just so you can kind of see what it's going to look like. But like I said, I'm not going to glue these in yet. Yeah, so you probably barely see those in there, but yeah, okay, looking good. So yeah, we'll actually do the ship's wheel and stuff in the next video, and probably do the rail around. I guess this is the poop deck. Yeah. So, but yeah, starting to look good. I like it as every time I put a little more detail on this deck, it starts to just kind of look so much more and more finished. So anyway, this is a good place probably to end this video. I'm not sure what time it's going to come out to being. I think it's going to be a relatively short one. I keep saying that, then they all end up being like still 20 to 25 minutes. So we'll see what happens when I edit it down. But yeah, if you want to continue to follow along, please like and subscribe, and thank you for watching.